The keynote is being done by Steve Wright. He's Director of Sales at Nextech. What they tell me, and I can vouch for some of this because I have heard Steve before, Steve is an entertaining and motivating speaker, so a little pressure that you'll need to live up to that. He speaks and facilitates seminars on technology, business growth, and cloud solutions around the world. Steve has more than 2 decades of business technology experience with contracts ranging from Microsoft, Intel, and other top-tier technology companies. Steve works directly with companies from around the world and brings the best of all that back to the Midwest, and we appreciate the help that Steve and his company has given us. So if you would, please welcome Steve Wright.
All right. Good afternoon. So, yeah, he said around the world, and just so we're all on the same page, it's been a couple times, and I do get to speak internationally, and one of the things I talk about is speaking internationally, and I went into a group in the UK, and I said, hey, I carry around a Tide stick to get the stains out of my pants. And they didn't know what a Tide stick was. I explained it's detergent, and then I said pants. I didn't understand that pants were underwear in the UK. These are trousers, just for clarity. So yes, I get to enjoy it, and I really love this stuff, and we're going to take a journey today. But I saw some of the previous presenters that you've had for these groups, and it's like presidents of colleges and people with lots of acronyms at the end of their name. Sorry, you get me today. But I wanted to take you back to the 1980s. This is when I really got hooked on technology, right? I see some of you like nodding. This was the deal. And a couple things happened when I was 8. This is me, grew up through 5th grade in Salina, Kansas. I still have that cowlick, that's why my hair is short. So a couple things happened. First, I became a big brother. The expectation of becoming a big brother was better than the reality, and still is. The second, I became a computer geek that year, right? I love this stuff. And to be completely honest, it all started right here. And just in case you don't know, my parents save absolutely everything. And it started with my speak and spell. This was my original speak and spell. And it started with this sound. Nothing that 4 C batteries can't make happen today, right? Amazing. And I love this thing, and just in case you knew, this is what E.T. phoned home with, if you're not old enough to remember some of this stuff. Sampled in Limp Bizkit songs. I love the sound. And this was my imagination, right? The kit car. I could have something that could help me through day-to-day life. It can run everything. It could tell me what to do. It could help drive. And I was like, this is amazing. The reality was a little less important, to be honest. But I want to also take you down the other journey that I had some 30 years later. And this was my Donnie and Marie record player. If y'all didn't know what a Donnie and Marie, by the way, they look just like this in Vegas still. They like haven't aged in 30 years. Not sure how that works. And I had the greatest album of all time, which was Thriller, absolutely, right? Which I had on cassette tape and on vinyl, and then I bought it on CD, and now I've bought it again on DVD, and of course I have it on Netflix, and you can get it on Blu-ray. So I bought that album like 10 times over, which is pretty crazy. And I love that album, but I got to wondering, exactly how much of an MP3 would my old speak and spell play? 1/10 of 1 second of an MP3. That's the total storage capacity of my speak and spell. That's kind of depressing. So now, of course, I have something that's 1/20th the size, it's 10 million times faster, it's amazing, right? My iPhone. And of course, it exceeds my expectation. Really, it did. I have the sum of human knowledge in my pocket, on my phone, pretty much all the time. It's kind of an amazing invention. It has exceeded my expectations of my 80s child self, which is pretty awesome. But let's talk about some of the things that run on there, right? We have YouTube, which is a pretty amazing application. We have all this stuff that's updated continuously on there. By the way, this is Charlie today, just in case you wanted to know. If you haven't seen Charlie Bit My Finger, really, where have you been living? But making $4 billion in advertising off YouTube. We all know it's an advertising engine, right? My kids don't watch TV anymore. They watch YouTube. Beyond that, Facebook has taken over as the number one activity on the internet. The old one was porn. Come on, people. 48% of those 18 to 34 check Facebook first thing in the morning. Of those, 28% of those do that before they even get out of bed. Sometimes I'm guilty. Of course, we all know the factor of 6 degrees of separation, right? We've proven it's actually 4.7 degrees through Facebook. We can get to any other person on the planet through 4.7 contacts. Pretty amazing. And of course, the half-life of information now is just 3 hours because of that. 10 years ago, it was 3 days. So information travels that fast, really, right? And of course, I know you're all in my kind of terms in that the new virus comes out and like your Facebook explodes and then all your people talk about it the next day that didn't know anything about IT, right? That's how it works for us. And of course, the average user spends 55 minutes a day on Facebook, or 1.2 days a month, or they spend 1/16 of their waking hours on Facebook. That's an effective advertising model, right? And of course, 60% of men and women use Facebook to stalk their ex. Guilty. Beyond that, 1 in 5 people blamed Facebook on divorce last year. We're seeing the relationship. So moving on, Facebook is an advertising engine. Not to worry, it's not going broke anytime soon. And of course, those 16 to 22 would rather give up their sense of smell than their social media. Do they really understand you can't taste food if you don't have your sense of smell? I sure hope so. Candy Crush, do I have any Candy Crush people? Y'all are liars. Come on, right? By the way, level 1122, right here. Okay, never paid for anything, just so we're clear. So, Soda Crush, the most recent version of this, back in last year they made $531,000 a day. By the way, do you know what they sell? Nothing. Yes, free lives, free crushes, free striped candies, free explosions. Digital nothing. For $500,000 a day. I need to figure this model out. By the way, in 2017, we're now talking about $850,000 a day and people paying for Candy Crush. That's a good business model, right? The economy's changing. Number of iPods in the US exceeds the population. I don't know about y'all, but I've gone through several. Your iPhone is an iPod, just so we're clear. And we start seeing a huge change that the wireless subscribers, there's more wireless subscribers or lines in the US than there are people. I don't know about y'all, but I've been driving down the road with a car and sometimes I'm like, well, we all got our cell phone, then I gotta have the MiFi there, and well, the other person has their personal phone and the work phone, and right? You've got all these phones and connections that are happening all the time. Instagram started in October 2010, sold 18 months later for $715 million to Facebook. 18 months, do the math. Pretty productive 18 months. I think I could manage to take 18 months off to retire on my own private island. Twitter, growing every day. Do I have any people that love the Twitter? Okay, so there's more people in here on Twitter than there are on Candy. No, not buying it. Twitter is actually most popular among working adults. I found that interesting because most people don't think that. They think it's a kid thing. Not entirely true. It would take 20 years to read all the Twitter messages produced yesterday. That's how many messages are going out. Dell, last year, in 2012, claimed to make $6.1 million on Twitter alone. I'm like, really? How do you make $6.1 million on Twitter? They published their closeout deals, they published their new product lines out there, and people bought it. But beyond that, 50 Cent was paid $10,000 for one tweet. 50 Cent. He's not even $1. So how does this guy make $10,000 for a tweet? He's actually using it to make stock investing advice from 50 Cent. He's actually been investigated for influencing the stock market. 50 Cent. Google, 4 billion searches a day, 2.9 million an hour, which means that we have twice that many texts happening at any one time. By the way, this is the Google number they made last year. That's $55,000 a second. They're kind of profitable, but not the most profitable. Google has bought an average of one company a week since 2010. They're acquiring massive amounts of company in knowledge. So let's talk about where this is going. So the human brain, 1 to 10 terabytes. I'm closer to 1. Y'all are closer to 10, right? So let's just use an average. Using an estimate of 5, it would take 1 million human brains to store the internet. Okay, that's a lot of information, but let's take it further. From the beginning of time till the year 2003, 5 exabytes of information was created. From the beginning of time to 2003. Last year, we did that every 2 days. Right now, we're doing it every 7 minutes. Which means that the 8 zettabytes that's been created is more than the previous 5,000 years combined. We're seeing exponential growth in data. And we're going to talk about the impact on that to all of us. By the way, I assume that you all read the privacy policies that would have taken you 76 working days to actually read if you would have read them. Those are the ones you accepted last year. And some of us have nomophobia. That's the fear of being out of contact with your cell phone. Guilty, right? Or that panic moment when you realize you may have left your cell phone behind. Oh, like heart dropping. Now we're seeing mobile device can take over everything. And beyond that, there are 6.8 billion people on the planet. There are 4 billion people using a mobile device. There are only 3.5 billion using a toothbrush. That's gross. 25% of Americans only use a mobile device to access the internet now. So mobile is the future of where our technology is going. And of course, some of that's, we're seeing the progression that 90% of all text messages are read within 3 minutes of being received. So text messaging has replaced most areas of messaging, right? And first of all, if you're under the age of, I say 25, it is still okay to leave a voicemail. And if you don't leave a voicemail, I probably won't call you back, even though you think I will call you back because I can see I missed your call, right? Sorry, I'm old school. But I did my first upgrade in 1981. Just in case you didn't know, this base unit stored 100 words. You pop off this little cover right back here, and you can add a whole nother 100 words to this device. Anybody know what version 2.0 of this was? Really? I told you my parents keep everything. The speak and math. Something else I stink at. But it has great sound.
Solve it. Level 1.
Yes. That is awesome sounding, right? That full solid 4-bit processor built into these? Yeah, bit. Okay. Just so we're on that. So let's talk about the Speak and Spell. They sold about 1.7 million of these, created in 1976, ran through 1989. Can you imagine buying a piece of technology over 10 years old and thinking it was cool? I don't think so. Speak and Spell absolutely did it. Average cost of these were $50 a piece, pretty good business model. But something's changed, right? The growth of the tablet exploded. I see some of them in this room. And of course, it came out on October 29th of 2012. It is now a $6 billion industry. And I'm going to suggest this is a fundamental change to society. And you say, Steve, how do you know it's a fundamental change to our society? Here's how I know. When we replace the Bible with our tablets. Just so we're clear, cover all the religions. And of course, we talked about Google's money. Apple's cash is worth half of Google's enterprise value. Cash in the bank, right? Very profitable. Beyond that, just in case you didn't know how much $1 billion was, if we took $1 bills and laid them flat, that's 68 miles worth of dollar bills. That's $1 billion. That's a lot of money, right? And of course, if Apple stopped selling everything right now, and kept all of their expenses, they could operate through the year 2024. So the next time you go buy that iPhone and you feel really bad about paying them, know they're making a ton of cash off you, okay? But specifically, they average $460,722 in profit per employee. per every employee that works for Apple. Very profitable. So let's talk about the iPhones. Let's go back a few years here. I know anybody still have a 5S? Those hands went up. You're in a room full of IT people. Don't raise that hand, right? So first 48 hours, they sold 187,000 an hour, 3,000 of them per minute, and 52 of them a second. 24 hours a day, because they work worldwide, right? Beyond that, the 6 and 6 Plus, they're still exceeding that. They're now at 57 of them a second. Let's continue on. And not to worry that they're still doing 34,000 an hour in Q1 this year of iPhone sales. You can see the number of phones that they continue to sell. And I'm told that Apple still doesn't have the majority sale lines of these products yet. So there's other people selling this much also. And of course, the iPhone 6S, we sold 4.5 million of them opening weekend. So I made a list of a few people that technology has impacted, right? My favorite being Kodak. 1998, 170,000 employees with 85% of all the photo paper used in the world to bankruptcy in less than 5 years. They didn't see it coming, right? That's what we want to do today. Newspapers, they've lost $40 billion in advertising revenue since 2000. Didn't see it coming. So let's talk about the fourth industrial revolution, which is ultimately the exponential age. So what is exponential? It's the birth of big data, right? And I've learned a few things about big data. You can extrapolate anything, which is pretty cool, right? For example, I extrapolated the fact that you can compare the amount of cheese that people eat to the amount of people that get strangled every year in their own bed sheets. Direct correlation, real data. Watch the cheese consumption, people. No, the purpose of today is to realize the potential that the technology can play in our lives and what the future of it looks like. And I want to take you through the end into 2099. That's a pretty big projection, right? Anybody want to go along that journey with me? We'll see. Y'all can play this back to me in like 50 years and say, wow, were you wrong? But we'll give it a shot. But here's where it started with me. My son, when he was 8 years old, wanted to mow the lawn with his grandpa. John Deere tractor 210. If you know anything about John Deere tractor, to put the belt on the John Deere tractor lawnmower deck takes a scientific degree, right? It wraps around, it scrolls up, it goes up around the belts, right? This is what it takes. Belt breaks as soon as they get on it, can't mow. So my dad, his grandpa says, well, it's going to take me forever to do this. And he goes, why? And he goes, well, look at this manual. He goes, let me get my iPad. There's a YouTube video for that. 8 minutes later, mowing the lawn. 8-year-old power right there, right? The power of technology. Not that my dad didn't know about YouTube, had never thought about applying it in this manner. So what we'll see is that if you look at exponential change, towards the end it starts getting fast, right? And we're somewhere, I'm going to suggest, right in here. So things are about to get really quick, and we're going to follow that. So we're going to apply Moore's Law to a few things. So to my mailbox, it's roughly 30 steps. An exponential step is, this is one. The second step is twice as far. Third step is twice as far as that, right? That's exponential change, which is cool because we can compare that. But I also wanted to do it with money. If we did that with a penny, we would have over $10 million in exponential change in the first month. Anybody willing to pay me that kind of exponential change? Willing to half? No? Okay. But this is exactly what Moore's Law teaches us, right? And it's been really pretty accurate over the last 30 years. And so we can apply Moore's Law to the technology that we have today and predict the future. It's pretty simple. And of course, people keep saying it's coming to an end next year. In the next year, right? What do we got? 16 core processors in the i9 now? Just keeps going. There are more than 100 million transistors in the head of a pin, so we're talking about on-off switches, right? I don't have to explain that to you folks. Beyond that, Intel's first microprocessor had, now we're over 4,000 times as fast, and the price has dropped by over 50,000 times. So we're seeing this exponential change again communicated to us. And of course, Intel's produced 20 million transistors for every man, woman, and child on the planet. That's a lot of transistors, right? But let's keep going. Average human hair is about 285 times thick than a standard path of one of these transistors. That's how small we're really talking. And so let's apply this to today's computers. Today's low-end computers, 10 to the 11th, are 100 billion calculations a second. Pretty quick, right? Made me stand up and pay attention. Well, we know how fast the human brain is. That's 10 to the 16th. By the way, those numbers getting pretty close to each other, right? So, using Moore's law, we will have a computer as fast as the human brain in 6 years. As fast as the human brain. But let's keep going. That means in 20 years, we will have a computer able to process 10 to the 26, which is 100 million billion calculations, or the equivalent of every human being on the planet in one processor. Exponential change. So we can see this hockey stick happen, right? We're getting closer all the time. So we can see how close we're getting to the human brain. And this is where I had ended in the past, but there's something else coming. This is more impactful yet. So it used to be that they were as fast as. Now they're saying by 2030 we will have a computer as smart as. So apply that to artificial intelligence and tell me it makes a difference. By the way, this isn't just me saying it, and I'm going to prove this from several sources as we go down this path. But first, let's talk about my house. I told you as a geek, I do have 66 items connected to my network at home. Yes, I am a full-time IT support specialist at my own house because my children getting more than a 5 millisecond ping time on their computers is unacceptable to them now. So let's talk about the impact of that. Devices on the internet, right? Exponential change, lots more of them happening. So let's talk about this. First of all, this is my weather station at my house. The Netamo measures wind speed, the rainfall, the temperature, predicts the weather based off the National Weather Service. Now, if you're Steve and you get written up in the Hayes Daily News about using too much water, you have a problem. But if you connect your weather station to your sprinkler system, you no longer run the sprinkler system when it's going to rain, which keeps you out of the newspaper. That's using devices, right? These things are getting smarter all the time. I made a list of a few items today that computers can do better than us. Like, for example, watering my yard, my computer can do better than I can, right? So we're starting to see this convergence of the computers being able to do things, quite frankly, better than us, just freeing us up to do more interesting things, I would suggest. And of course, we're seeing this new economy, right? Everybody knows the Airbnb, right? The largest property management group out there that doesn't own a single piece of property, the largest transportation company that doesn't own a single car. Does anybody know Airbnb? Mark, you can't talk about this. Nobody knows Airbnb? That's air, pee, and poop. You know, you gotta go, you gotta go. Real app, right? You can download this on your mobile device right now. So if you happen to have a house on Main Street that has the parade and you want to make a little extra money, Airbnb, ready to go. What? So let's predict the future. This stuff goes in cycles. It is predictable. So in the 80s, it was all about the hardware, right? This thing did one thing. It was a piece of hardware. It teaches spelling, which I don't spell very well, so questionable whether it actually did that. But that's all it did, right? Can't make this do anything else. 90s, it became the software. We took the hardware, we layered software on there. Now it can do different things. 2000s, we make the web so you can surf and find anything you want. 2010, it's all about the app, right? So I don't want to have to go type weather.com. I can hit the weather app, and it knows where I'm at. Getting smarter, right, all the time. So let's predict the future based on that. But let me take you down the path. First of all, I have an issue. If you haven't figured the theme, I like to use the bathroom a lot, which causes me a problem when I go to the movie theater. Approximately 3/4 of the way through the movie, I have a problem, right? There's an app for that. Run Pee. This tells you the most effective time in which to leave the movie and will tell you while you're peeing what's going on in the movie while you're out peeing. Okay? Real app, feel free to download it, it's free. You all don't have this problem? But what's the next level? The next level is, look, my phone knows where I'm at. It knows what movie I'm in. It knows how frequently I need to pee because it can tell me when I'm in a bathroom, right? It knows the last time that I did pee, and it knows that I had a beer, which influences the previous issue, right? So why can't my phone automatically resolve my issue, and why do I have to use an app? That's the next level, right? Because it should know my needs before I have to tell it. The device needs to start serving me instead of me serving the device. The web, the stuff goes away, the devices need to start collaborating with each other and talking to each other to help us all. So if we came to the CHECK conference, why didn't our device automatically bookmark the app for this event? Because it knew we were here, it knew all the people in this room were doing the same thing. Why couldn't it just do it for me? Who thinks that will be next? I do. Right? Kind of scary because it starts predicting you. But search. Search is dead. Machines are doing more searching than we are. For example, the weather app's updating my Apple Watch right now, right? So when I go like this, I can tell the temperature out, and I didn't have to say, hey, go find the temperature. It knows where I'm at. Go find the temperature every so often, and it updates it, right? So search is going to be dead. By 2020, it'll be completely eliminated. So what about the run pee guy? How's he make money? Well, if my phone knows I need to pee and it needs to reference the data at the movie, he gets a micropayment, right? Chink, 3 cents. Thank you for your service. Micropayments is the new future. But then what? This is my pool. I decided it was better to put my pool on the internet than teach my wife to maintain it. Right? If you've ever dealt with chemicals in pools, you get those things out of whack. It's ugly for a while, right? So my pool's connected to the internet. I have an app that tells me what the chemical levels are, the pH level, the chlorine level, the water temperature, whether the pump's running. It knows, okay? So it's pretty smart. I know the water level because it can auto-fill itself, which technically says that I can measure the weight of the people in the pool. No, not that anybody was going to go in the pool anyway, just saying. And of course, I know how much power the pump's using. I know how much chemicals or things are using. I know whether it needs the cover on it or not. The question is, can it then start troubleshooting itself? If the pump starts using too much power, something's going wrong, right? Why can't it self-diagnose itself and call Amazon and order me a part? That's next. But better yet, my pool's lonely on the internet. Why can't it have friends? So that we can have the internet of pools. That way all my neighbors' pools talk to my pool, and they know which chemicals are the best. And they say, hey, I'm going to order my own pool chemicals because I'm better at it than you, right? So pretty soon the chemicals that are best for our region show up instead of the chemicals that I choose because I went on Amazon and it was pretty. So the pools can start taking care of it. And the data becomes that new oil, right? Because everybody needs the data because that's what makes us more effective. And that way the chemical companies start advertising to the pools, if you will, to have them best run themselves. So let's continue on. So I suggest the IoT is the Internet of Toasters. Internet of Toasters has been around for a few years, just in case you didn't know. So the Internet of Toasters. Why do we need an Internet of Toasters? Well, first of all, same issue. Toaster knows when its heating elements are starting to go bad. So why not order its own replacement? Who knows how I like my toast better than my toaster? It does. Do I really care what color my toaster is? Not really. So why am I even involved in this process? That's the future. The toasters will take over, right? But then the clothes. Man, I really like that shirt. My shirt says, hey, cool shirt. You just advertise for your shirt, micropayment, chink. Meanwhile, my shirt's printing out at my house in my size, right? Yes. Done shopping. So let's talk about the micropayments, right? I do some research on Titanic, 30 cents. Star Wars is worth more, 75 cents, right? The more value that you offer, the more you get paid. Direct relationship, right? We're already seeing micropayments. You don't pay for movies necessarily anymore. You go to Netflix and you pay a monthly subscription fee, right? Same thing with Amazon and their movie services, right? It's all micropayments. We're already trained to do this. We just haven't taken the next step. So let's talk about technology today. First of all, what we know today has never mattered less. I don't know about y'all, but when I went to school, I learned that 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. That is a worthless piece of knowledge, right? My phone could have told me that, but it could also tell me the names of the guys on the ship. Maybe I need to know that stuff. We now live in a society of the ability to acquire the knowledge when we need it and apply it. And that's what we do every day, right? The IT stuff that we deal with every day, we can't possibly know everything there is to know about even one piece of equipment. If there's one person in here that knows everything there is to know about Word, please raise your hand. We're just talking about Word, right? Okay, how about Notepad? Yeah, like there's so complex now that not one person even knows every feature there is in a single application. It's that crazy. So 2007, we began growing human organs. This is technology today. Toasters. I really want this toaster. My wife won't let me have it. She says printing the weather on your toast is worthless and it's not worth an $80 printer. I really want the device number 67. Of course, you got to have the high def, ultra high def screens now instead of the multi-monitors. Right? Everything goes up, the cool guy in the office has the 4 screens, the 6 screens, the 8 screens. Pretty soon it's going to be the guy with 1 screen that can put all 8 screens in it, right? That's the future now. Tupac is going back on tour. If you didn't know, he's been dead for a couple decades, but he is now coming back as a hologram. I am totally there. Saw Michael Jackson here just recently in Vegas. Awesome. Facebook is going to virtual reality. This is a game changer, right? Imagine my parents being able to interact with their grandchildren in a virtual environment. That changes that interaction. Because nothing's more complicated than a 2-year-old trying to talk to their grandma on a phone. They don't do it. But in virtual reality, they're in. Drones, 2.5 million of them operating in the US. We all know that that's coming really fast. Wearables, going crazy. Everybody's starting to buy the wearables and starting to measure everything. By the way, grown 2x every month since 2012. So if you think this is going away anytime soon, you're wrong. Oh, self-driving cars. Anybody think that we won't have self-driving cars? Man, when I started getting this like 2 years ago, like half the room would be like, no way are we having self-driving cars. I ain't driving. Now everybody's like, heck yes, let's go to Kansas City for the weekend, and I'm watching movies on the way there. Right? This is already happening. Statistics say average human being has a car accident every 60,000 miles. Automated car has it every 300,000 miles. It's pure facts. We suck at driving. Can't wait. I will soon be in the hearing aid age. Bluetooth hearing aid, awesome. Now I can be listening to my tunes while everybody thinks I'm paying attention to them. No more headphones. And of course, the HoloLens, I saw some virtual reality stuff in some sessions after this. If you haven't seen the HoloLens, absolutely game-changing. I had a chance to play with this in person 2 years ago. This has been out 2 years ago. But what are you going to do with this virtual reality? Think of it more as a converged reality or an augmented reality. So customer walks into a business. They look at you, they know who you are, they know what you use, they know your account, and they know exactly what you're probably there for, right? Making the process faster, better, and effective. The final exam, the instant answers, yes. Maps, like who needs a GPS that sits on the dash when you can have it projected on the roads? It's a much better experience. And of course, entertainment, so you can clean the house and watch Netflix all at the same time, totally in. So let's go to the near future. By the way, everybody knows they went back to the future like 2 years ago, right? Yet, here we are finally getting to the holograms and hoverboards. So this is where we're going to go next. Project Soli, this is a Google project. the hands-free devices, if you will, a couple different versions of them, so you don't leave fingerprints on your devices. Yes. I'm a little, I got a little anal about that whole situation, right? I hate fingerprints. The unbreakable cell phone screen? Yes. Who here has broken the cell phone screen? Who here hasn't broken the cell phone screen, right? Yeah, there's a couple of you. You need to use it more. There's the magic leap. Yes. Turn my living room into crab hunting, like, watch the ship real time in 3D. Yes. Totally coming. By the way, these exist today. This stuff already is out there. This isn't futuristic hopes. This is existing technology that we will see in the next 18 months. 3D audio, so you can hear where the direction the audio is coming from it. If you're old enough, think quadraphonic. So that would become, because you got to have virtual reality, you got to have the sound coming from all directions, right? And of course, who wants to actually plug in their electric car? We got computers to do this kind of stuff, and if we're not driving our car, we need something to plug it in for us. The hoverboard, the flyboard, right, exists today. Totally want one of these. Notice the guy's flying over water. Not a lot of trust yet. The wallpaper TV, you've seen these commercials if you watch the Royals, right? The super thin TV. I can't wait till every wall in every room is a television and we can put whatever we want on it all the time, right? Forget the wall of monitors, make it the room of monitors. And of course, the Muso, think Bose noise-canceling headset without the headphones. Imagine this, you go to a motel room, you got the noisy kids next door, you turn on your Muso, and all of a sudden it's silent. I am in. So what's the future look like? A lot of times we don't care how smart you are. That's what's coming. We don't care about what you've learned, but what you have to be able to answer is what's the future look like? And how is it going to affect your career, your company, and your industries, right? And that's where I'm going next. And of course, a lot of the things that you're going to have to know in IT very soon haven't even been invented yet, and the knowledge on it doesn't even exist yet. There's not a degree out there. Imagine all the college students out there that have to deal with this, right? By the year 3 of the college, most of the information they've learned is now out of date. Not an issue that I had. So what's next? You've heard of the singularity, right? This is the point in time in which computers surpass the humans. So let me take you out there a ways. First of all, this is coming. And that's the point in time where the computers can create a monumental change in our society that we can't ignore. We haven't got there yet. Just people staring at their cell phones at a restaurant doesn't cause mass change, right? It's a problem, but it's not mass change. What we're talking about is mass change. And if we look at Ray Kurzweil, the director of engineering for Google, he's saying 2029 is the date which AI will surpass pass the Turing test, which means it can fool us as its human being, right? We're getting really close. But beyond that, 2045 is a singularity. I don't know about a lot of you, but I can imagine 2045. Like that's, I can think that far out. Again, think hockey stick here. That's not just one person saying that. We have whole groups of IT professionals starting to say this, and it's starting to look at the future and the change of technology and how it's coming. So let's go further into the future. And I told you we're going to take you through the 2099. So some of this stuff is going to get a bit scary. By 2027, 10 years, 50% of the jobs will be replaced by AI. By the way, I believe the website is willcomputersreplacemyjob.com. You put in your job title. It'll tell you the statistics of you being replaced by a computer. Most cars will be driverless. I can't wait. That means the kids in grade school right now, most likely, will never have to be able to drive a car, potentially, right? More impactful, my dad's 80. He does have money. He's excited about this because the driver's license doesn't matter, right? Take me to the grocery store. I'm sorry, take me to the casino, right? The entire contents of the internet could be stored on DNA. We're already starting to see that kind of technology come today. And the most fought over commodity will be water. And 1 in 3 people on the planet will be over the age of 100. Right now, statistically, for every year we live, we gain 3 months of life expectancy. That's how quickly medical science is catching up. 2030s, we become able to upload our minds. Can't wait. I'm not that smart, so being able to connect to a computer directly seems like a good plan for me. Nano machines inserted into the brain, so we can directly talk to our computers. I can't imagine the IT support needs of that. Brain nanobots capable of eliciting emotional responses from us, meaning we could have emotional relationships with computers. Interesting. 2040s, people spend most of their time immersed in virtual reality. We don't leave our homes, right? That could be interesting. Now, here's the other part of it. Coming from Western Kansas, here where I'm at, having a high-speed internet connection means I could work for any company on the planet and interact with the people in that business in a virtual environment, irregardless where I live. That could be game-changing for us. And of course, now we're talking about non-biological intelligence becoming 1 billion times more capable than us. That's kind of scary. 2045, $1,000 buys a computer 1 billion times more intelligent than every human being on the planet. AI surpasses the human beings at the smartest and most capable life forms on the planet. And of course, now we're starting to talk about artificial food and being able to manufacture food, ending hunger. And then we move into the distinction between virtual reality and real world start becoming blurred because it becomes that good. And in 2099, I told you I'd take you all the way. Some human beings, at least as old as the baby boomers, are still alive. Computer viruses are the biggest threat. Artificial intelligence creates super powerful, it's supposed to be planet-sized, not plane-sized. See, if it was smart enough, it would have fixed that. And of course, organic human beings are becoming the minority of intelligent beings on the planet. I'm sorry, should I say universe? Now, this is all predictable, right? Because we used and applied the Moore's Law. This is where we're headed one way or another. And this becomes very effective. A couple years ago, you couldn't imagine having a device sitting in your house listening to everything you said. Yet Alexa in my house seems to listen to everything, right? It happens. Don't think about Terminator, right? This isn't where we're going. The good news is that it helps us be able to put focus on the things we want to be good at. And we don't have to deal with the day-to-day needs. We don't have to shop for clothes because our clothes know what we want the best. We can start making these changes. But then I wanted to take you back, all the way back to these devices, right? I had this vision that I could use this and be really, really smart, right? I could find a way because it sounded so cool. And the vision was the computer could make me better and augmented and make me be smarter than my peers at school. It didn't really happen, right? But now we're talking in the future. This is me and my Commodore 64, right? By the way, sold for more than 10 years. Anybody want to work on a 10-year-old computer on purpose? Probably not, right? But back then it was a big deal. So this is me working on my Commodore 64. I do believe this might have been my tape drive right there, just in case you didn't know that they used tape drives back then. But it helped me in math. It helped me in my spelling. I have terrible handwriting. It had word processing, even on a Commodore 64. And it could fix formatting. Still couldn't fix my typos, obviously, right? So it brought all this together. And I'm going to be really honest. The gray matter still trumps the machines, and it always will, in my opinion. But this is me receiving my law degree from Washburn University. Now, I'll be honest with you. 2.02 grade average in high school. That's this guy right here. But I was ahead of the curve using that stuff, my Tandy Sensation 486 SX, just in case anybody knows that one. Had a CD-ROM. Yes. 640 meg CD drive. Awesome. But I used this device to get me through school. And if you think about it, it augmented all the things I was bad at. At this time in school, this is in the early 90s, you turned in your papers in handwriting. I turned them in typewritten, right, with spell check, and it made me look smarter than I really was. So by paying attention to what's happening in the future, utilizing the technology that we have today, you can stay ahead of your peers and competitors by merging the technology with yourself and becoming kind of an augmented reality. I'm Steve Riot. You can connect and up to me in any way that you see there. Thank you for attending, and I'll turn it back over to Mark.